For this assignment, what we are going to do is make a big giant elephant walk down the street. We're going to give him a shadow and some lighting. This teaches us quite a few things in Photoshop. We're going to learn about layers a little better. We're going to do some image adjustments like brightness and contrast. We're also going to rotate and skew. And so we learn quite a few things in Photoshop by doing this, and it just looks cool because there's a big giant elephant walking down the street. So what we are going to do first is go to the modules in Canvas. So go into Canvas, go to your digital media class. Down at the very bottom of the modules is the elephant shadow assignment. Now we have two things to download, the elephant picture and the street scene picture. So they're two separate ones. We're going to put them together, give the elephant some shading and shadows. So first, download elephant. Actually download both of them at the same time, or one right after the other, so we have them both. Save them to your files, and when you get them saved to your files, we'll just open them up in Photoshop. So open up Photoshop, and this one is a lot older version, so things might look a little bit different, but most of the options are the same. So all the things that we do will be mostly the same. So go to File and Open, and find your files. They might be under My Documents and My Downloads, unless you saved them in the right spot into your folder. So go find them in your folder. First open up, well, it doesn't matter which, we're going to open both of them. So open up the elephant, and go back up to Open, and open up the street scene. Okay, so we've got these as two separate documents opened up. What we need to do is, we've got both of the files open, and we need to place the elephant into the other file. So we're going to extract the background as we have done before. So we're going to change the background layer, change the name to just layer 0, so it's not a background anymore. That way we can take out what's around the elephant. We're just going to extract him from the background and put him in the street scene. So we could do that a few different ways, but the selection tool is the best way probably. The quick selection tool works really well here. So I can make it a little bigger and just click and drag around the elephant, and it takes, it selects everything around it. And then I can hit delete. Oh, it looks like I got a little bit of his leg, so I will hold down Alt and go back over his leg here and make sure that everything is selected that needs to be selected, and then hit delete. Now there's one more spot underneath his leg, so I'll make this smaller and grab that and delete it. Okay, so everything's deleted. Control D to deselect. Now I can either select it with the marquee tool. Let's do that. And then copy and paste. Control C. And then we're going to go to our other picture, just right above on the tabs. Click the tabs above the ruler, or a Control Tab will toggle between the pictures. Control Tab. Okay, now we're here. I will paste. Control V, and I've got the elephant on the street. Okay, a couple problems here. One, he's bright, and we are at the sunset. And if you notice the cars, they've got they're really dark in the back and bright in the front, and then they also have a shadow. So we need to make that consistent with the rest of the picture. We need to make the elephant that way. So there's quite a few things we'll do to make him that way. First thing, let's make him a little bit smaller. So Control T is the free transform. Control T, and then we can drag him smaller. To keep him in proportion, we hold down Shift. So we can make it smaller, but then we put him in the back, and it makes him look still really big. Okay, so we'll stick him back here a ways. Okay, and then click the check mark to accept it. Stick him right there in the street. Now what we need to do is, we've got two layers here, the street layer and the elephant layer. We're going to duplicate the elephant layer, so we'll just click it and drag it down to the new layer button, and it duplicates it. So we've got two now. If I drag it out, there's two layers of elephant, one right after the other. Now we're going to make one of those layers bright, like it was shining in the sun, and the other one dark, one for the front side and one for the back side. So this first one, we will go up to Image and Adjustments, and we're going to adjust the colors. So go to Color Balance, or you could do a Control B to get this menu, Control B. Now we want more red, so go up about halfway on the red, and we want more yellow as well to make him a nice goldeny color. So about halfway on each of those, and that's pretty good right there. So that's the golden shine from the sun. That color makes it the goldeny shine. Click OK to accept it. We've still got 2 layers, one on top of the other. So let's get the other layer. Let's click the eyeball on that layer and click on the other layer so we can see it. And we're going to make it really dark. So let's go up to Image, Adjustments. Let's get the, let's see, let's do contrast. So brightness and contrast. I think it's on the top on yours. Brightness and contrast. Let's bring the brightness all the way down. Let's bring contrast up a bit. Okay, that's pretty good, pretty dark. Now we've got some red tints on his eye, and I want to get rid of that. So let's go down here and get the sponge. If you click and hold, there's the dodge tool, the burn tool, and the sponge tool. If you get the sponge tool, it takes away all the color. It's taking out the saturation. Okay, we still need it a little bit darker. So let's go up to Image, Adjustments, and Levels, or Control L. And let's drag this down a little ways, and the middle maybe. Okay, that's pretty dark. So I think that's good. It's like the back of the cars. You can still tell, you can still see what's on the back of the car, but it's really dark. So that looks good. Let's bring back our other layer. We're actually going to switch the order of these two. So the dark is in front or on top of the brightness layer, and so we've got 2 layers there. I just clicked and dragged to switch the direction, or switch the arrangement of those. One is on top of the other now. The dark is on top of the light. Now what we're going to do, we're going to use a mask to get rid of some of the dark around the edges, like on the back, maybe right above his eye, on his ear, on his legs, on his trunk. So let's click on the first layer, the top layer, and get a mask. It's this little button down here at the bottom of your layers panel. Square with a circle in it, and that gives us a mask. Now what the mask does is when we have the black color, we grab the brush, and whatever we brush is going to take away from that top level. Okay, so it takes away, it's showing what's underneath, and it looks like there's a looks like the sun is shining on it now, and I did a little too much, so I'm going to undo that. I'm going to make my brush smaller. Now make sure that your brush, the hardness, I would bring the hardness all the way down so it's soft. Okay, so a little too much. So just kind of get some shadows here and there. You can zoom in on it. Make this smaller and put some on his eye, because that's kind of sticking out and the sun would probably grab that. Make it really small and get a little bit on his back and up here on the top. And some on his ear over here. Even right here, his ear is probably really thin right down here, so we can put a little bit right there. Now if we decide that there's too much somewhere, well, let's put a little bit down here as well. And some on his trunk, I'll make it a little bit bigger, like it was shining through there. Okay, that's pretty good. Maybe a little bit down on his leg also. So just kind of do it how you think it should be, what looks good to you. But that's pretty good for some highlights there. The sun looks like now it's shining on the back of the elephant, just like on the cars. Now if there's something, if you want less shine, we can put the dark back on. That's the good thing about this mask, is we can put it back without doing the undo. So if I switch this right here to the white, and I've still got the brush, it's going to brush it back on. See that? It makes it dark again. And I don't want to take it all back, but maybe just put a little bit back here. Okay, whatever looks good. So use the white and the black. The white puts that top layer back. The black takes it away. So get it till it looks good. There's a nice shadow on there, or some good highlights on there. Now that looks good because we've got the shadows on the back and he's dark in the front just like the cars, but we're still missing the shadow. The cars have this big long shadow and he is going to cast a big shadow in the street, so we need to make sure he's got that to make it look more realistic. So we're going to take the layer, one of the layers of the elephant, and duplicate it again. So we'll take this middle one, without the mask, drag it down to the new layer button, and it makes a duplicate copy. Let's take the bottom one, since they're both the same, and grab your move tool and let's move it out. Now what we're going to do is turn it around. We're going to rotate it, skew it a little bit so it's the shape of the shadow on the ground. So the Control T to get the free transform, and we'll grab it and rotate it around. Now the shadows are not the same size as the car. They're about 1.5 times or 2 times longer, so let's stretch him out. Okay, one other problem is that his ear is over here and there's no ear over here, so it's opposite. We need to flip it. So just grab that on the outside of the box and drag it across, and it flips it. Now the ears are matching. They're on the same side. Okay, we're not quite at the angle of the street, so let's skew it a little bit. Click this to check it, yes, and then we'll go back to adjustments, edit, down to transform, and skew. And this way, or the skew is going to take one side of the box and make it bigger. So put your mouse close to the box, it gives you that little two-headed arrow, and we're going to stretch it a little bit more and make it the right angle, the same angle as the street, okay, because the sun is right in line with the street. So that looks a little better, and obviously that's not a shadow, so we need to make it a shadow, or make it look like a shadow. So we're going to make him black. This layer, we're going to make it black. So if we go up to Image, Adjustments, and we can use Exposure, there's a setting in Exposure that we can drag it all the way down, and that makes it black, like a shadow. Click OK, and of course the shadows are not completely black, so we need to make it a little bit transparent. So as you're clicked on that layer, come up to our right above the layers, and the opacity is 100%. We're going to bring that down to maybe 80, 85. Okay, so now it's see-through a little bit, so that's better. One more thing to make it look nice is we'll put a blur on it, so it's not a hard edge on there, and that'll make it a little more realistic. So come up to filter, we'll put a filter on it. This filter will be a blur, and we're going to do Gaussian blur because that allows us to put the amount that we want, amount of blur. Okay, so that's pretty good right there, and we can just adjust it a little bit to get the right setting. Let's make it right around 3 or so. Click OK, and there is our shadow. We can still move it around a little bit if we need to, or change the transparency if we want it darker or lighter. But that is it. We've got an elephant in the middle of the street. He's got the highlights on the back from the sun. He's dark in the front, and he's got the shadow. He's casting a big long shadow. And that is how we do it.